Right, welcome to the Lonely Carp podcast, episode 8. Now, this is a little different. We've never done this before, but there's been so many messages regarding the last podcast. It was only right to get Colin straight back on, let him crack on with his stories, and yeah. So this is episode 8, part 2. Uh, right, it might be a little strong language in places, so you have been warned. So welcome back, Colin.
No, thank you, thank you.
Let's hear the stories, mate. I think I interrupted you too many times last time. Everyone was messaging me saying, we want to hear more stories off Colin. So, yeah, so I'm just going to let you crack on, mate, because that's what people want to hear.
Right. Yeah, I think that to back up what you just said, a lot of people were messaging myself saying about the stories and stuff like that, and it was too short and stuff. So yes, thanks for having us back on, me, and I'm glad that some people actually want to hear me speak out now. Where I wanted to pick it up was we spoke about coat water in the last episode. I sort of when I caught two tone, which was like the last of the big ones in there. I walked away and went to it was the perfect time of year really because it was coming into November, and I've always whatever sort of gravel pit fishing I've been doing in the past, I've always had like a winter target somewhere else, and there was a water that I was told about. It was only a small pool water, a real intimate lake, and only like an acre and a half, but tricky, like there was only 20 fish in there, and I had heard about it and it had upper 30 linear in there. It was fast approaching 40 pounds this linear. So yeah, after the conclusion on Coatwater, that was the ideal next place to go. The timing was right and everything. So yeah, this guy took me down there. I didn't believe him at first when he told me about this lake. I thought, no way, like so close to Bristol, and I don't know about that one. So anyway, this guy took me down there. I met him on Steve Hill, and we've got there, and on the first day we're walking around this lake, and this old white 4x4 comes clattering around, and this guy's jumped out. What are you doing, around walking around here and all this sort of stuff? And we were just like saying, "Oh, we're interested in fishing it." And he's got this binder out of the car, and he's opening it up, and he's like, "That one's 35 pound, that one's 37, this one's 32." And I'm thinking that's all the same fish, like it was quite obvious he didn't really know what was going on. But in all fairness to him, he had a match lake which was full of other fish. And I think what I'd done, I don't know how these fish had ended up in the upper lake, but there was only, he said 24 in there. And they had just grown massive, mate. And it was like, it wasn't day ticket, it was like a booking system. And it was middle of November by now. It was it's fast approaching winter. And well, yeah, but there really, if you like. But yeah, so I was just like straight away, oh, can I book this day? Can I book this day, sort of thing? And it was about a tenner a day or something to fish there. And it was really, really quiet. He'd only let like 4 anglers on there a day. But just walking around that first ever trip, you'd see like these big boils in the edge and stuff. It was very, very obvious. It was, well, it appeared featureless, should I say? But very small, hardly any trees around it at that time. So it's exposed to the winds. It was perfect for the winter, it's shallow, so any sort of weather change was going to affect it. The winds was all going to touch it. Yeah, and I couldn't wait to get started. I couldn't wait. So yeah, my first trip down, but it was a bit unconventional because you weren't allowed to use boilers and stuff on there. You weren't allowed to use boilers, you weren't allowed to use nuts, and so yeah, it just backed up like a little bit. Like I don't really think this owner knows what he's doing. Like bless him. And it was like, oh, you can use pepperami and stuff like this, like pepperami. You can use luncheon meat, and you can use maggots and all this. I was like, oh Jesus, but only 20 fish. I was thinking, if you could get 10 bites, you're probably going to get that bigger. Anyway, so I've gone down there, and I was writing to bait in nut baits and stuff at the time, and I was using ground hazelnuts. Like, I know you said there's no nut ban, but it wasn't a nut as in a form. I was using ground hazelnuts and crushed hemp seed, tiny little bit of hemp and some maggots and stuff. And straight away, mate, I knew where to sort of fish it. I had a dunk around with a lead and all this sort of stuff. It was pretty featureless, just silty and stuff. It was obvious that the margins was going to be the best places on this lake, and but I'd get them feeding, mate, and they would feed for hours on me, like before you get a bite. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is the one, like to sort of to catch this big one. Like you're either going to get very, very lucky and catch him in the first few, or if you got a soldier through him like this, I'm going to be here all year, like trying to
Yeah.
get a bite off doing this. And so yeah, I got that very first day. I caught one of the bigger ones. Actually, it was the 29 pounder. They called it Poppy. It's normally a 30 pounder. I caught that one. A lovely carp. Like they were a bit bold in that, but what had stood out about the bigger, it was just a proper carp, big over some mouth, a perfect linear, like, it was colossal. And it was just growing at such a rate, and I just thought, I didn't want that one in the album, like, but so I just was driven by that one the whole time I was there. So anyway, I think I've done a couple more days. It was, we're getting past Christmas and stuff now, and I'd caught a couple more. I caught another really lovely one. It was mad, mate, because it was only like 3 foot deep, and again, I wasn't really too convinced that the maggots and what was the way to go, because it was difficult. If there's four anglers on in a day, sometimes no one caught nothing. Like, you couldn't fish nights on there and all this sort of stuff. And it seemed like when the fish switched into that feeding mood, whether it's first thing in the morning or very late thing in the evening before dark, obviously the days are very short in the winter, aren't they? It was they might come across you and start feeding, but you got to reel in by the time by the time it was likely to happen. So I started fishing 1.5 foot the zigs. It sounds crazy. The water's only 3 foot, 3.5 foot, 4 foot in places, and I'm fishing 1 foot zigs off the bottom. And I started really catching them, But again, I'm not thinking this ain't the way to catch a big one. You know what I mean? It's and I knew. So Christmas came, and the big one ended up getting caught in late February, I think it was. It was late February, but I got an old friend of mine called Rich Rogers, and he's like proper old school. He keeps everything to himself and that, and he caught it, and I seen the pictures and that, and I thought, I should have that one for next year, and went off elsewhere fishing. And I can't remember where I was fishing that year. I think I was fishing on Christchurch. No, I think it was when I was fishing on Pinswood, actually. Anyway, I've done my fishing in the summer and stuff, and then sure enough, old November's rolled rain, and I was back on there, but by this time, mate, word had got out, and there were some good anglers on there, and there was a few anglers that were using one sort of bait, and they were putting lots in. But one thing I noticed straight away was, because they were using boilers now, obviously against the ownership's wishes, the fish would come across these anglers, and they get a bite straight away. Now, I mean, that's down to when I'm fishing the bits and the ground baits and all that sort of stuff. They're feeding hard on you. But when they come across an individual food item like a boiler, they're just picking you up straight away and you're getting a bite, right? Do you know what I mean? So when this lake had gone from doing maybe just a couple of bites a week, it was now doing 2 or 3 a day. Right, do you know what I mean? And I was getting worried. I thought, oh man, Christmas is coming and all this sort of stuff. I want to get that big and get out of here. And like I say, there was quite a few good anglers on there. So I can remember going back the first day, and then I sort of seen what was going on and whatnot. And I looked on the long range weather forecast, and there was a big low coming in, a big southerly. And it was going to be a big storm and stuff. It was mid-November, and I remember just thinking, well, we can all play that game. Right? Do you know what I mean? Lads are all putting these. They were all using a fish meal, like a spicy fish meal. There's several of them using it, and so I just thought, we're gonna level the field here. So I started using a milk protein bird food bait, which is is exceptional, if you like, alternative to a fish meal bait. I just think any water that's been fish meal dominated, you go on there with a nut bait or you go on there with a milk protein or something like that, and the response could be incredible. So I was using a milk protein, with caramel cream. I had a fruit palatant in it, and another powdered sweetener, and I thought, right, let's see what happens now, sort of thing. So I can remember going down there in the night, in real late at night, 12 o'clock at night, and I can remember there was this old lay-by, and you turn your car headlights off and whatnot, and you rally in, sort of thing. And so the old Mike couldn't hear you in the house, and I can remember walking across the lake, and there's this guy I know, a mate of mine, was coming the other way. And he's going, well, what are you doing down there? I said, well, I'm baiting up. I said, what are you doing down there? And he's like, oh, I'm baiting up as well, sort of thing, And I was thinking, I got to get faster this. So anyway, I can remember I'd let it rain and everything, clipped the rods up the night before and all whatnot. And I just pummeled 5 kilos of this bait out there. It's the first time I'd ever used it. And I just spread it all out, with a catapult, everywhere. And I can remember, mate, I was knelt down after I put the bait in, and it's all quiet. You can't hear nothing. You hear the old wood pigeon clattering around in the trees and whatnot. And silence, no head torch, nothing. And I could feel that warm wind, it was just I could feel it on my face, and I could feel the drizzle coming in the air, and it was damp, and it was just perfect, mate. And I couldn't wait to get back in the morning, And I went back the next morning, and quite quickly, I had a straight away off the baited area, just fishing. I rolled my baits like they were pellet shaped, just in case it got caught and whatnot. And I had a 27, it's just below 28 pound, real fat one. And I thought, well, that's a great start, shitting and batting with a bait all over the mat and everything. And and then later that day I had a 26, and I think I had a 25, and I had a couple of kilos of the bait ready for the next. I put 2 days on that. Anyway, like I say, by the end of the day, mate, the storm was with us. All trees are all bent over, and it's howling down the lake. There's like little white horses on it and stuff. And it's dark by now, like, so everyone's gone. So I funneled the bait in, and I got home, mate, and it was just electric. Like, I couldn't sleep. I can remember my girlfriend like saying, "Oh, you coming to bed in that?" And I was thinking, I just can't sleep for anything. So I've like double checked the rigs, and like, it's like I just couldn't, double check the food and whatnot. And I just thought, I'm just gonna go now. It was like about
Yeah.
2 in the morning, mate. I'm just gonna go. And mind you couldn't get on there till until first light. And I made the drive. It was about an hour and a half drive sort of thing away from Bristol. And I can remember getting there like 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. It was, made by time and whatnot. And I can remember, like, again, like, turn the old engine off and you come around the corner, rally into the car park, so no one's seen your headlights, no head torch or nothing. I threaded my updates on in the car and everything, And I can remember I just crossed the road, and like I said, like, you hear like a bird like take off in the bush, and you think, be quiet, we're not going to be here. Do you know what I mean? And I can remember, mate, it was pouring as well, pouring, pitch black, like wind still howling down, like, and I got my brolly up and stuff, and I didn't want my buzzers out or anything, mate, and literally I just flicked 3 rods out. I just like underarmed them out to the spot, and they've all gone down lovely, like, and I can remember just laying on, like, kneeling on the floor as far back into my brolly as I could to get some protection from the rain and everything. For November, mate, it was like a monsoon. It was, it was so warm, like double figure temperatures and everything. And with that, one of the rods I've really taken off like next to me, and I picked it up, and like this fish is going nuts. It's gone off to my left and everything, and managed to get it in quick way, like 27 pounds something. Sacked him up. And I text my mate. I texted him saying, "Oh, come down, get some pictures and whatnot." And it's still in early in the morning, mate. It's about 5. It's not even 5 o'clock. And with that, I just thought I'd leave that rod out, because, like I spoke a little bit about in the last one, I like to always most put my eggs in one basket when I'm fishing. So what I tend to do is, if one rod goes, I'll leave it out, because I know I've got 2 out there fishing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've left that rod out, mate, and 2 rods left fishing, mate. I'm not there. Like I say, soaked through already. I had that ESP drench wear, which was as good as a PVA bag. I can remember just being soaked. And anyway, the middle rod started going up, and it's just like ticking away on the floor. And I picked it up, mate, and it's again, it's gone off to the left. They always go off to the left where this deeper water was, where this drain was over in the corner. And it's going nuts, this fish. And it's picked my left hand rod up. But I was fishing my lines, I was slacking that anyway. So I could just sort of make out this fish is boiling and stuff, but I could see my line off my left hand rod like lifting up and towards the area. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh god, I'll just get this in. No buzzers or anything, so you can't hear the full extent, can you, of like how far under your other rod is gone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, I put him back, mate, and got him in the net. It was a 28 pounder, like a real nice linear. And I got him in the net, make him a quick way, sacked him, like, again, sent mate a text, like, get down there. I've got this one rod out left fishing that's been dragged around everywhere, right? Yeah. So I just thought, I'll get that sorted, I'll retuck it. Before I could retuck it, mate, the reel's is spinning. It's like it's going into meltdown, right? How this rig was out there presented, I'll never know, right? Because it must have been dragged 10 yards off the spot. And I picked it up, mate, and just like that, completely different to the other ones. It's gone right. Just a sandbag, dead weight it was, and it's not really taking much line off the clutch anymore. But it's just holding its weight in the middle of the lake, and it's gone right. And I'm thinking, this feels different, like a bit of a dead weight. All the others went left towards the drain, and I just had that feeling then, mate. I'm thinking, I don't know, like this could be the one, sort of thing, And I'm getting him back, and sure enough, mate, it's what it's like. It's coming light now. It's like, oh no, after 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And it's not far out. I daren't switch my head torch on, mate, but it's boiling in the margins, and I can see this big old linear, like the cracker, and it was a big one. And mate, it's gone in the net, and I'm just thinking, it's not even light yet. I'm not had a beer, and it's done. It's done, like, it's like he was in the bag. So yeah, mate, what a morning that was. But what a fish, man. And obviously I sent some pictures for you to show. And but yeah, that was amazing. I love those, like, when you sort of contain the water, and and it all comes good. Like I said in the last one, it sometimes it doesn't, and you've got to work your way through them. And big carp fishing is all about timing, isn't it? And sometimes you could be very wrong, and sometimes you could be very right. And in that case, mate, it was perfect. I like so yeah, like a few mates come down that day, and we've done all the pictures and whatnot, and I can remember moving later that day because that pit, as soon as the sun moved around and stuff like that, the fish would move. And I caught another one later that day, and I can remember that old Mike. He come around that day and he said, "God bloody hell, like you got lucky today, sort of thing, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he said, well, you're back again tomorrow, aren't you? Like, wonder what you're casting." I said, "No, no, mate, I won't be back again, like, because it was done." But
Yeah.
there's a story to this because once it was out, like everyone knew about it anyway. This fish and the story was getting out there, and I wrote an article in Carp Talk about it, and I wrote about the old boilers and stuff. Yeah, so like I can remember the following year, some mates of mine, Bill Fowler from Bristol, real well known, really good angler, and he contacted me. He said, "I was fishing down this rushy lane today, and this owner's like pulled up in his white 4x4, all handbrake on, jumped out. He's got his rolled up carp talk in his back pocket, right?" And he's like, "Know this kid?" And Bill's like, "No, I don't think I know him, mate." He's like, "He's in trouble. He is. He was using boilers on my water." Like, realised that I was using boilers on his water. But yeah, now it's the birth of the devil himself, because he carried around that cartoon for years. He probably still got in his pocket now.
Still in his back pocket now.
He probably has, mate. He probably has. Bless him.
Yeah. What a story, mate.
But yeah, mate. So yeah, that was a hell of a story. No. Yeah, it's a good one. It was a good one. But in between these sort of times, I was fishing on Lynch Hill, and I spoke about that in the last one, and without going into that too much because that's the hell of a chapter for itself. But again, when you talk about timings, I was on there so many times. I nearly had Petals pick me up when I was on there in the edge, and one time Petals was just feeding which was the big one, and he was feeding over me, mate, and then another fish would pick me up, and I was a hook link away from catching that Petals a few times now, and then he died. But there was another fish in there called the Amster fish, which then flew to like 49 pounds. And I was lucky enough to catch that one. But that's a different story for another day. But on Lynch Hill, what I was going to say is, like, I learned so much. Like, it's probably the best water I've ever been on for, learning things about watching fish pick up rigs in the edge and zig rig fishing. This is back in 2003-4. Before like it was really well documented. And every time I was on Lynch, I'd stop off in this country park a couple of mates were fishing on this country park in Ashton Kings, Neighbridge it was called, and it's about 13 acres and deep, very low stocked, real tricky fishing. And yeah, I'd stop in on the way back and have a cup of tea and stuff with them. And one of my mates had been on there for a couple of years. I don't think he'd had a bite. But one of my mates, good mates, Lee, he'd been slowly getting his way through them, and he'd had the better ones as well. He was all right, and he's again he works and stuff, so he can only fish weekends, and he was doing really well. Out of all the lads that were on there, and I remember him catching this fish called moonscale, and I tried to look for it the other day, but I couldn't find a picture. But anyway, he put a picture of it on his social media, and I can remember looking at it and thinking, Jesus, I'm coming out of retirement for this one.
Yeah.
I could just remember looking at a big old scale in the middle of him and stuff, and I just thought, yeah, I got to have a go for that one day. But anyway, when I used to come and sit with the lads after like being up Lynch, I'd sit with them on Neighbours. Where the sun comes up on this pit, and you got to remember, Lynch Hill fishing was a little bit, a bit more conventional, if you like, or unconventional, if you want to use that word, because everyone's fishing at their own bits, and people are using cork and zig rigs and whatnot. And on these big carp lakes, you could be forgiven for just sticking to like a boilie-only approach, and because it's big carp, you ain't messing around with other bits, and you can't try some at 1 week and think, oh, that didn't work, I'll try something else, because the likelihood is the carp wouldn't even within 10 acres of you. Do you know what I mean? It's like on those stock pits, everyone's got their one thing and they're doing it. So I get that. But so yeah, I can remember just sitting there, and I can remember sitting on I can't remember what this bank was called, but it was where the main swims where everyone fished all the time, with a mate called Mark, and said to him, "Mate, you want to get down on that old on that south bank?" Well, it was like the southwest really, because I said, the sun comes up in the east. That bank's getting the sun all the time. I said, it travels round, and that bank's getting the sun all day, mate. You want to get along there? I can remember saying these words to him. I said, you want to get along there in the spring at Fistic Briggs? And he was like, oh, yeah, whatever, mate. And I used to tell him that all the time, though. And for me, it just looked like the obvious starting place, that bank, right? But no one was ever down there. But that part was mental. I had very, very little pass and dog walkers and whatnot. Anyway, after I'd leave Moonscale, I got a lot more interested in that place then, and I can remember me and my girlfriend, we were moving, we were moving place and whatnot, and we had a row with her. I never even had a ticket, and Lee's rang me. I was chatting to Lee, and he's at the lake. He said, "Why don't you come up?" And I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, I'm gonna come up for a night." And I've gone up there, mate, and yeah, just like rocked up. Lee's in a swim called the Post, so we're having a chat and whatnot, and a few more people have turned up and stuff. He told a few people I was out there, and I think it's about 5 or 6 of us, and we're having a drink and a barbecue and all this sort of stuff, and it's getting dark. And I can remember saying, I'm going down there. I'm going to settle down there for the night. And I remember saying, no, just go next to me, we're just having a social and that. It's only for one night. And I said, no, I'm going to go down there, And I can remember going down in this swim, and like I said, I was right into my nut fishing and that back then, and I was using macadamia nuts. Like a lot of people wouldn't even know about them, how good they are for fishing. But you can't use them in your free bait. You got to use chopped tigers or chopped peanuts or something like that. But yeah, you use a macadamia because they're the oiliest of the nuts. They're semi buoyant. It's almost like a wafter. And I've been using them a little bit since I've Kinjud, and they're deadly, mate. They like them. Let me tell you that. But I can remember I went down this old bank. I always want to prove myself right. Like I'd been saying it for years to the lads. You want to get on that bank? Anyway, I'd gone down there, mate, and I found the thing about Neighbourage, it was very, very deep, and it was quite exposed as well. So the margins were all like wind washed, if you like. You could look down there. It was real, real deep, and you could see like 7, 8 foot into the margins. They were just clear gravel. And then, as it dropped off into the deeper water, you'd have these massive banks of weed, And anyway, so I found a plot down on that old bottom bank. I had a lead around and whatnot, and I found this spot, this like this silty sort of scrabbly spot beyond this massive bank of weed, right in close as well. So I've literally just put out a couple of swans of the old chopped nuts and that out there, and macadamia over the top of it, mate. I thought one rod would do me, that's what I need. It was getting late right now, and I was a little bit wavy because of the old social before, and yeah, so I sort of set up, mate, like slacking the line off and whatnot. I got my head down, and I can remember just waking up in the morning to like a whoosh, and I just like woke up, and I'm like laying there, and I could see perfectly the spot. It was down the margin, but facing sort of to my right. And with that, mate, I see this wake and all this bubbling like come up over my spot, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, like that's right on me. You know what I mean? Like, no, this pit is like it's tough, Like I say, people go seasons on there without biting stuff, and this is my first night. Like I set up with like 6 fans of catcher's gold to the wind, and one's on me. And with that, mate, I'm led there, and I'm watching the bubble. As you do, like when one shows, don't they? They go back down. You're watching the bubbling and that, and it's right on me, mate, right on me. And then with that, this little commons like slipped out on the spot, and I'm just led there, like almost, it's like almost frozen on a move, And I'm led there. And with that, I've had a single bleep on the old Neville. I'm looking at the rod, and the lines are hanging slack down into the water. It's quite a high bank. And with that, the line starts like picking up, and it's like flicking. And with that, mate, the line just picked up, and it kept picking up, and it kept picking up. And the tip's gone down, mate, and it was away. I was just like thinking, Jesus Christ, So I'm into one. So yeah, like the lads are all weird. They're all scattered around the pit, but they've heard the old Neville go off, and they all come running around and whatnot. And yeah, so first morning success of fiscal cluster, what a mega one, mate, absolutely mega one. A lot of people didn't even know which one it was. I didn't know I didn't know anything about this lake over the moon scale anyway. But yeah, we've done the pictures of that one and that, mate, and that was mega. It's like I want to start, and I sort of proved myself right a little bit. Like I always said about that bank, I just knew, I just sort of knew, and yeah, just luck comes about and whatnot, and yeah, mate, that was a hell of a start. But then I was a lot more keen, as you can imagine, to get back there. And so I got myself a ticket and whatnot. And yeah, I can remember going back in. I had one in the autumn. I can't remember if this was. No, I didn't go back until the following spring, because this was late. This was late in the year when I had this cluster. I might have done a night or so. Oh yeah, I did do one though. I got a funny story about that. We all went out there in January, and we just had what we were doing up there in January, I'll never know. You never get a bite in January on there, mate. Yeah. And we've gone out there, we had a big barbecue, a little bonfire and whatnot, and we went to the local pub, and like, it's like when a few of you together went to the local pub and they'd done takeaway ciders and stuff. And I can remember like Bart's and that had stayed with the rods and everything. And me and Steve went and got some takeaway ciders and whatnot. And got back to the lake, mate, and I had like 3 cartons in my arms. So I got 6 pints of like Thatcher's Gold in my arms. Takeaway boxes, man. I stacked it down this ditch, and the whole lot gone straight in my boat. Not 6 pints of cider over me, like, in January. So maybe that was payment for that cluster catcher. I don't know, mate. But yeah, like, as soon as Christmas gets around and it and whatnot, and before we knew it, I was back again, and it was St. George's Day, mate, in April. And mind you, I'm like again, I've gone back and it was really busy that weekend, and I can remember like there was a couple of mates on there as it is always, and I've gone down on that old spot again where I caught cluster, and but this time, mate, I could see the fish were like using that whole bank. They were going behind these banks of weed and whatnot, and there were some good ones out there. I was getting out of the trees and I could see them and whatnot. So I put 2 zigs out, and what I'd done, I chucked them out far, these zigs. I could probably, I don't want to say it, I was probably the first person to ever use a zig rig on that lake, and I can remember chucking them out long, but reeling them back as fast as I could on the surface, and then I just dropped them in close, like they were 15 foot out on the back of this massive bank of weed. So I've left these 2 zigs out there, mate, and yeah, mates turned up. We've got a barbecue on and whatnot, and a couple of hours after, mate, it is just absolutely smoked off. But it's just absolutely on the zig. And, lo and behold, me, I'm playing it, and again, on that those sort of pits, you don't see many bites. So all the lads are behind me, and the banks are really high. And I'm stood down by the water, and another mate's in the water with his chest on and stuff. And I'm playing this fish, and they're saying, I can hear them behind me going, "Oh, I think that's the eyeback, or I think that's the 321, and and it could be moon scale." And I think just shut up. I'm playing on like a 10-foot link, a size 10 hook, and it's beasted me already, like it's really beasted me. And with that, man, I've just like stood up on the bank up high, and I could see this massive mirror eyes and like turning my little size 10 in his mouth, and got fair play for him, like Skeevy's got in that first time. It was moon scale, the one that I joined there for. But on a zig rig, like 12 yards out or something,
Wow.
bank as well, which I said. But yeah, like we had a hell of a party that night, and that was the one I sort of went on the forward. Like I said to you just now, mate, when there's one and you set your sights on it, you can't beat it. And I can remember waking up the next morning, some woman's walked past me with her dogs, and I was led on the path. I never even got to my bed there that night, I don't think. But yeah, so mega times, mate, on that pit. But once I caught Moonskull, you sort of lose interest. You know what I mean? It's like, and you feel bad if you're still on there and you catch it and take that capture away from someone else. But so yeah, I like that. I went off elsewhere fishing again that year. But come the autumn, I really fancied another go. There was a fish in there called the Eyeback Linear, and that had become the big one, and it overtook me in scale, and everyone, it was a hell of a target. It was what fish hardly ever come out, but without sort of targeting it, I just thought, well, it'd be nice to have that one too. And I went back, like I keep saying, mate, about timing and carp fishing. It feels a bit unjustified, like really what happened on Nevers for me. Like I've gone on there, I've done like 2 nights or something, well 3 nights, got a load of cider in my mouth one night, and then the other 2, I've already had moonscale and I've already had cluster,
Yeah.
and I've gone back again, and I caught one. I can remember getting there, stood with a couple of lads and watching, and I see this fish out in the middle of the lake. I sort of lined it up with a swim. I knew I could get access to it, sort of thing, and I've gone round, done the night there, spread a load of bait out there, like spread it wide as well, because I wasn't 100% sure this fish showed. And that night I had one called the Snub Nose Common, a 31 pounder, something like that it was. Lovely fish, mate. And yeah, again, I was just like thinking, God, this feels unjustified. Like, you got a lot of people on there doing a lot of time, and but I've had that on pits in the past, so I'll take it when it comes. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
definitely, definitely.
But yeah, I've had that common, mate. And then a few weeks later, I've gone back. I'd like to say we'd moved and all that by now, and I'd gone back there, and I can remember I'd done a night shift the night before, and I work in criminal justice, so I was like, it's a stress, and I'd done a night shift on call in the office, and I can remember like going straight to the lake in the morning, mate. So I think it's like go home and get my head down a little bit, or so I'll just get straight to the lake. Anyway, I just drove straight to the lake, and I'd been trickling some bait into this corner, and which that high-back had come from a few times in over the years. Like, it's nice to always just mess around and whatnot, but I always have a plan. Like, I've always got something going on. So I've been circumventing this corner and stuff. And I can remember just feeling knackered. I've got the old bed chair out and stuff like that. And I can remember getting the rods out. I put like 3 or 4 kilos of bait out as well. I just thought, this is perfect. I'm going to get my head down and we'll see how this plays out, mate. And I've sat down on my life, right? My ass has touched my bed chair, mate. And I see this massive carp come out over the other far side of the pit. And I just thought, there's not many in there, mind. There's like less than 20 in there. And I just thought, oh, you bastard. He's like really ripped the rods in on the spot. So, like I said, I was a bit of a fat fucker then. So I put everything on the porter, mate. Got round there as fast as I can. And by the time I got there, I nearly seen CPR, But I just thought I can't sit there on that bait, and watch fish over the other side. And I'll send you a picture of this, my man. And as I push the barrow into the swim, it's called the dugout. It's got a real high bank behind it. Another one slipped out, like not far out. Like I don't know if you're trying to talk in wraps, which everyone does nowadays. 10 wraps, maybe not even that, maybe 9. And this other one slipped out, but there's a big bank of weed behind it, so it's really easy to measure it. Like it was as long as you weren't far off that bank of weed, you were on it. And I quickly snapped a picture of it with my iPhone, and I thought that's perfect sort of thing. So got the rigs ready and all that sort of mate. And at the time I was using these pop-ups. I used to call them toxic nightmares, right? And I used to put caproic acid in them. And that's how all the lads used to laugh about these pop-ups, mate, but they were deadly, right? They were absolutely brilliant. And I used to use caproic acid and tutti and black pepper oil I used to use, because you've got to use those acids with an essential oil, I find. They're always a bit better. It's like the old spirulina and that. You use it with salt, it's 10 times better, those sort of things. So I was well into bait making and that. And these nuclear pop-ups I have made, they're awesome. Like I'd caught first time off at the manor that summer, I caught a 41-pounder on it within like 2 minutes of the bait in the water. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, so I've looked at my phone again to see exactly where this fish is food, mate. Wanged one out to it, and it's gone out perfect, mate. I was fishing choddies, and I just overcast it a little bit, almost clipped the edge of the weed. It did, swang it down, mate. It's about 10 foot deep, and it's gone down perfect, like cracked down. And that I thought, oh, that's perfect. Anyway, got the second one out, mate. Went to line that off. It's gone up a tree and all this sort of stuff, like it does. I mean, I'm getting to get this bait out, this whatnot. Got it out. So, yeah, no finesse or anything like that, mate. Anyway, check your points all sound. Pop up still on time. I've wanged that out just to the right of it, that sort of thing. And mate, by now I'm knackered. Like, I've been up all night, all morning, and literally I've scurried back at the bank. All my kit's on the porter still. I've got my bed chair out, sat down, mate. I thought I'll have a tea before, and as I sat down, mate, the first rods are smoking. On the old toxic nightmare is gone, and I like scurried down the bank, mate, like lifted into it, and like. It's hard to tell, isn't it? But because if they weren't that far out, you could feel it's heavy and stuff. Like straight away, the old rods get over compressed, like and it's lunging slow and whatnot. And I'm trying to get it back, mate. And there's some big trees down to my left that were overhanging the water and stuff. So this fish is like just picking up speed and is going towards these trees as fast as it could. I'm winding down on it, mate. I jumped in the water. My chest isn't that up on the old porter, and mate, like I say, this is late in the year, and the water's gone over my waist, mate. And when it touches your old nuts, it takes your breath away, doesn't it? So I'm like, what I mean? I'm like trying to do this, but whilst trying to keep this fish out of this tree, like and with that, mate, it's sort of swinging in. So I got it on a tight line, and I'm trying to beat it to this tree, if you like. And it's boiled, mate. And I just see this massive fish, and I just thought, in my head, I think that's moon scale again. Do you know what I mean? Because there ain't many in there, and it was like a serpent, mate, big long one, and then it's like rolled on the surface, but it's such a weird fight. Every time it rolled on the surface, it would like charge to the right, and then it roll again, and then it charged to the left, and it would just like thrash around and stuff. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, man, I'm glad this is on a choddy, because they generally don't come off, do they? And with that, mate, he's coming along the margin. I got the old net like scrambled up, got the net behind me, and scooped it into the net, mate, and I just thought, oh my God, that's the high back linear, right? No, like if there's ever injustice in carp fishing, it's probably that one, And I was just there going, oh my God, like this. And I keep, what I mean? You keep checking it, don't you? You keep checking it, and I'm rolling it over, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? I rang my mate, one of my mates over on Ashton Keys Large Lake, and I said, mate, I got the eye back in the net, and he's like, don't be a prick. And I'm like, no, I got the eye back, and he put the phone down on me. He thought I was winding him up, Anyway, and no, I rang him back, mate, and a good mate of mine, Free from Bristol. He done a long campaign for that fish, so it was a special one to him. I rang him, and he was like, I'll come in there now." So he's jumped straight in the car, and a couple of other lads, the lad called Stu and that, they come up, and yeah, we had a bit of a celebration. I got some video footage, luckily, that I'll send you for this for the podcast. We got some video footage, some really mega shots of it and that, mate. And it was one of them, like, we're all laughing and whatnot after, and it was like, man, like. I'll keep saying about timing and carp fishing, and like I say, there's been plenty of times where I've got it wrong, but that neighbour's country part, mate, I got it very, very right on there. I've probably done 6 nights or something. I've had like the 4 or the 18, like, and it was yeah, it was kind to me, that lake, mate, and maybe it was all the times I stopped in there for cups of tea and never put a rod in there before, but yeah, that lake was kind to me, man, and it's a special place, and there's loads of documentaries, or not documentaries, like videos and stuff on YouTube about it, and everyone should watch it because that place is like, we used to call it like the car park in the southwest, and yeah, mega fish, mate. And unfortunately, all our predations took over now, and not earlier than fish are left, and that following year, like Moonscale went, and the old eyeback's still in there, mate. He's going around. He's about £47 now, and but yeah, like special time, mate. Like really, really was.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so you got Moonscale and Cluster from the same peg then?
Yeah. Those two come from the same one, man. Like that old same peg. I must have been saying it for 3 years, mate. You want to get along there? I used to say to the lads. We used to call it dog shit alley because that's all the dog was used to go. And the bank was really full. But yeah, probably from the same distance out, mate. But it's one of them where you just prove yourself wrong, don't you? But like I said, I get it. I was coming from Oxford, where zig rigging and air pressure and what, we worried about it more. And on these big carp venues, mate, like I said, you could be forgiven for people not really taking that into account because it's so difficult to fishing on there. You just set out, your boilers work,
Yeah.
and they do, and so yeah. But I can remember saying, yeah, you want to get along that bank, mate, fish the zigs or fishing short and that. Oh yeah, nah, whatever, mate. It's like this sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I proved myself right with that one.
Oh, I can't wait to see the pictures, mate, already.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, there were great times on Christchurch, and like like I said, I was on there a few years, and I caught a lot of the big ones out of there, and like I said, I caught that hamster in the end. I would have loved to have caught petals, like, but I come here, I got a good story for you, my man, and I don't know how long we've got to wrap this up. We've got a bit of time. Anyway, when I was fishing on Christchurch, it was real deep, like, a lot of people probably listening to this will know about it, but it's a big old pit. It's round, it's deep, and one summer this big bank of weeds come up, right? But the bank of weeds was just like a hula hoop. It was just round the margin. So whatever swim you were in, if you had a fish on, you had to wade out like 10, 15 yards to sort of net them. And I can remember I never even had no chest waders or anything, right? And I've gone to this lake and I'm thinking, what I'd learned from the week before, I thought, I'll take a couple of pairs of shorts with me, right? And like every time if I catch a fish, like if I'm lucky enough to get one, I'll just wade out my shorts on, net the fish, and then get back to the bank, sort of thing. Anyway, I turned up and it's late in the evening. There's only a couple of anglers on actually, and anyway, these fish are showing on the edge of the wind, like right in close they were. I put like 3 solids out to where the fish are showing. With that, within an hour, mate, I've had a take, and sure enough, like as planned, I've waded out in my old shorts, got this fish in the net, and done the pictures, changed my shorts. Well, I only got 3 pairs of shorts with me now, right? So with that, as it's coming dark, I've had another take, and I've got the same thing, gone back out there, let this fish, people come up, we do the pictures, whatnot. Anyway, I've got to bed, I'm on down to my last pair of shorts, right? And I've hung them up and they're drying and stuff. And anyway, it's about, I'm asleep, it's probably 1 in the morning, like I've had a melter, and I've run out, I'm playing this fish, and it's definitely quiet, you can hear a pin drop, and I'm thinking, there's no one around, like, what I mean? So I thought, fuck it, I'll slip my shorts off, just wade out naked, get the fish in, because I can't get my last set of clothes wet, right? So I've stripped off and all that, waded out, got this fish in the net. As I turned around, mate, I've heard, we got another one. I look around, these 2 head swords just by my body, right? I was like, lads, this is going to look really weird, but I'm naked, right? I'm naked. Right? And this is like, so I'm getting out of the lake, like, I was going to take this fish, get my shorts and stuff, and they used to call that carp the naked fish, right? Based on that, I couldn't believe it. I mean, every time I caught one, I'd have to ask someone to do a thing. It's like 1 in the morning, mate. I swear to God, my heart nearly fell out. As soon as it went in the net, and I heard, He got number one there on the racing event. So I just thought, oh no, how's this going to get down, you know? But yeah, I
Well,
mean, mega fishing on there, mate. And I was lucky enough to get really all of them. Like I had that box common, and I had that one in winter, dead of winter. Like
so I bet they got a shock then, Cole, when you came out naked, did they?
yeah, yeah, I believe so, my man. I believe so. But yeah, I think any of these lakes I've gone on in the past, everyone knows I'm a bit of a character and stuff. So I don't think no one would be that shocked, There's plenty of stories to go along like that sort of way. But yeah, I mean that was my excuse anyway. I needed my shorts, But
Going through a few pairs of shorts that night.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, man, there was great times on that lake. I mean, I could never if I had to replay a few years of my angling life, I like that those times on Lynn Chill, man. Like I said, I learned so much on there. Is like I can remember when I first started on there. The ticket was transferable. I spoke about it in the last one a little bit when I finished up on Horseshoe, and someone I knew had a Lynn Chill ticket, and they weren't really fishing it. And so I managed to get his ticket off him, and within a couple of trips, I caught that box common. Like at end of November sort of time it was, and it was the lake record at the time. So that was it, mate. Like I thought this is going to be really hard on here, and it was very tricky fishing on Ninja. It was very, very tricky, but it offered so much. Like in the winter, everyone's fishing like tiny little bits and like 8 mil, 10 mil boilers and stuff like that. And then it's like you get the turn of the year, don't you? And you've got everything to come. Like the margins are waking up and they're getting in the edge, and then you've got the little bits of pellet fishing and whatnot. And it's really there, which still being good to see for this later one was where I like really started catching big ones on rigs, like watching them jet rigs and stuff. And yeah, and it was a really, 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 really pressured lake, and so to cut a long story short, sort of thing. And what I do on there, I really, really noticed that like the anglers were the main issue, if you like, for where the fish ended up. On these quarter pits, you can rely on air pressures or wind directions and sun movements and whatnot. But on Christchurch, it was a lot different to that. It was what I would generally do, mate, when I really started smacking them up there. It was I'd get in like a corner peg and I'd just leave my rods in, right? And I'll maybe put some bait out, but then I just let the more anglers that turned up, the better, right? Because the fish would just all come into my corner, right? That they would think they're safe there because all they want to do in there is get away from lines. So yeah, as soon as they all sort of came into my corner, mate, I'd just like fish little bits of pellet and stuff in the edge and catch one at the edge. And it seems like a mad way to fish, but I'd catch two or something when no one else had caught nothing, And so yeah, and I had this spot going in this corner, mate, and I caught most of the big ones off of there. And it was a good. I can remember one day watching these fish come in, and like I said just now, like petals a few times I've been in there, and I was so sure, like as soon as petals come in, it's such a greedy fish, I was going to catch it, but it was always someone else with it, like it was the big one in the lake. Always had his like guardians with it, if you like, and one of them would end up picking me up. But anyway, I can remember one day I had this rig down. And there's a couple of good fish in there feeding on me, and this I ended up catching him in the end. It was only like just under 20 pound this fish, but he just picked my rig up, mate. Just spat it out, just like spat it to the side, just carried on feeding. I was like what, remember putting it back in, a bit more bait. This small one's coming again, just picked me up, spat me out, just carried on feeding. And in the end, mate, I was using like a 4.5 ounce lead, like a flat inline, and I was using an inch up link. Like it was literally like inch long with a size 6 up with a kicker on it as well. So it's like a gaffer. And I can remember, mate, like as soon as I sort of got that sus, that was it. It was game on. And I can remember one morning, a load of the lads had come round. There's a cafe at Lynchhill, and they come round to me and they said, "Oh, we're going out for breakfast and stuff. You coming?" I said, "No, no," because what I'd do, I'd like force myself to get up about 5 in the morning. I'd pellet the spot. Like I say, rods are in. No, I didn't even have them in. I didn't put them in at night even. And then as soon as the sun got up and that, mate, they was raining on them on me feeding. And anyway, the lads have all gone down the cafe. I've gone round, mate, checked the spot, and there's like 3 good ones in there. And what their old towels are up and that where they're feeding and everything. And I've like flicked some pellet on the spot to get them out, and lowered in, mate. And then watch them come back in, mate. And there was one in there called the Black Mirror. It's like a big prize. And it never ever used to come out hardly, that one. And they've come in, mate, and started feeding on me. And with that, I see that Black Mirror just like slam his brakes on. his fins have gone out and stuff, and he's just like still. And I'm looking at the spot I've got my little pins on and that, and I can see my little pellet hanging out his bottom lip, and he's just bolted, mate. And I mad battle with that one, got him in. Oh my god! Like, wait till you see the pictures, mate. It's like, well, it's just black as anything. Unreal carp. A mega one. And I was buzzing, mate. So I was like, stuck that one in the sack. Everyone's down the cafe, and so I put it in the sack, like sort of pegged it out and everything. Gone back round to the spot, mate, and there's already 2 fish back down on it again. So I got the old, changed the rig and that, made sure the was all razor sharp and that. I gone back round, mate, lowered in. Sure enough, straight away, that scar, which is like now the biggest one in there, I believe. And that one's come in, just picked me straight up, mate. So I've had a scar as well. So I've got this one in the sack as well. And with that, the lads will come back from the cafe. You can see me on soaking wet. I'm not naked this time, lucky enough. And they said to me, I've had one light, and they're like, well, no, they know, go get the cameras and all this. We've got the black mirror out, mate. We've done all the pictures of it. And they're all like, well, well done. And I was thinking to shake their hands. I went to walk away. I said, where are you going? I got another one. And they're like, what? And I said, oh, I've got that one called Scar as well. Got him in there as well. So wow. We got the fish as that one, mate. It's mega. And that afternoon I caught longfish as well. That one haunted me a little bit. I had him 3 times in the end. But yeah, some great fishing, like I say, and then to move on to where we're going with this. But like I got addicted, mate, to just watching them in the edge. Like we spoke about this last month. I don't mind catching them with a bait and the buzzers go off, but I feel there's enough months of the year to do that. If I could catch a couple watching them pick them up out of the edge or on a floater or something, that's more than me. But yeah, and then I got a ticket for this lake in Somerset, and it had a mid-40 common in there. And the owner had asked me a few times about having a ticket on there. I met him when I was fishing at Kirk Water Park and all this sort of stuff. And, one thing leads to another and you're on other pits and that. But this year, a good mate of mine, Geordie Stiff, he was fishing on there, and he fair play to him. He was putting the time in and whatnot all through the winter. And I think he caught it at £47 that winter. And I couldn't wait for my ticket to start. I couldn't starting the next year. But I was away in America for a little while. I keep checking in and whatnot. And so my ticket started. I come back from America and said to my missus, I was all right if I go fishing for a little while and stuff. But and she was up for it. But anyway, so I've gone down there, mate. But what I'd done as soon as I got back from America, I was going down this lake every day. And I was going down with a big old bag of bait. And I already had a spot rocking. And it was funny, mate, because within about 3 or 4 days, like it took a couple of days or whatever to find that common. And you couldn't really miss him, mate. He was so big, you thought see him from off a tree, and he had 4 scales missing on his back, which was like down its left side near its tail. So sometimes if there's a couple of fish and they were a bit lower in the water and the light wasn't caught right, you'd see these 4 white spots, standing out, and you knew it was him. But within a week or two, mate, I'd turn up and he'd be waiting for me like it was my dog, like where have you been? Right? Yeah. He's waiting to get. He was just sat there, mate, and I'll send you some pictures. I'd turn up and he'd be there waiting. Right, and I was feeding it, mate, feeding it in the margins, and the spot I was feeding it on, I knew I was running out of time. It was coming into October. It was October actually, and I knew if it's windy or if the temperature's dropped, whatever, that spot was not going to be the one because it was too close in. I could feed it almost, and anyway, so I started getting another spot going. So I found a spot on the back of this weed bed, in the deeper water. So I was baiting that with boilies alone, but I kept the old spot going in the edge with the pellets and everything. And that was the one he liked, But the thing about that spot in the edge, I sort of knew that I could only get a couple of captures off it before it was done. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it was weedy. It was quite weedy, mate. I'm too weedy to even drop into, if I'm honest. You couldn't have put a bottom bait rig on it when I started feeding it there. But anyway, within a couple of bait ups, mate, within 4 or 5 bait ups, they had excavated that spot. It was, it was cratered out. It was smashed to bits. But there's a lot of keen anglers on there, It wasn't a massive lake. This lake was only a few acres in size, but it was stream fed. But river sort of ran into it, so the water was crystal clear. It was deep. It's like 13 foot deep, but weedy as hell. Like it's so rich, and the fish were just flying in there. He done a really good job on that sort of thing. And anyway, there was to back up the big common. There was a big mirror in there called the Pilgrim. I haven't been out for nearly 2 years, and that was the late record mirror in there. And there was some other 30 pounders in there, like they've just gone over 30, but at that time. So but my main objective was that common, obviously, and I sort of that's what I had in mind. But so yeah, I waited and waited like patiently enough to get those spots going well. And like I said, mate, it's funny. I'll show you the pictures. I would turn up, mate, and literally, if he wasn't already there waiting for me, right, it wouldn't take 2 minutes when we stood there and he was there. Like it was like a dog.
Mad
It was
that.
unbelievable.
Crazy.
And I sort of worked out the areas I could get my line to this spot from. And my first night on there, I caught a little one actually, and like I was actually a bit shocked because I hadn't even seen a fish in there that small before. But anyway, I could tell that swim wasn't really the one. After I put that fish back in, I was sat there and I was thinking, I don't know if I like that line lay and that, like, towards that spot. And I wasn't surprised that I hadn't had a better one, like, or anything. Do you know what I mean? I was just thinking, oh, maybe I've got this wrong. You know what it's like. It's all going through your head and whatnot, isn't it? And anyway, I thought, nah. So when I packed up that day, I moved around the other side, sort of chucked across and everything, with a float, popped the float up and everything, then walked around to several different swims to see this spot. And I thought, right, I got the area better now. Anyway, so I can remember reeling in that day. I can remember sitting down having some food and stuff. I had to go to the office and whatnot. And as I was about to go to the office, that Commons turned up, mate. And he was all over that spot. And I was just thinking to myself, man, like again, like I keep saying all the time, it's about timing, isn't it? And I can remember just like reeling in, going to work, thinking, "Oh man, all I could think about was seeing that one over the spot again." If I had my rods in, maybe I would have been caught it. But it never played. Well, you don't think it plays like that, do you? Anyway, I can remember going to work and just thinking, I can't stop thinking about that fish, right? So I said to my boss, "Is it all right if I took a couple of days off?" And he was like, "Oh, blah blah blah, blah," as he is. And he said, "Yeah, all right. I just made up some stories about my kids or some shit." And I can't remember what. Anyway, so I took the time off work. I've gone straight back down the lake, mate. And I've, in all fairness, I mentioned another spot that I'd go in. So I had this other spot in the open water going with boilers and stuff. And so this new swim, I knew I could hit that a lot better, right? But it was just going to take a little bit. The line lay was so much better for this other spot, the common spot, I want to call that. I've set up, mate. I've put two rods out onto the old zone where the boilers are, and I left the other one in. And the owners come down, and we're sat there chatting and stuff. And I'm telling him that I'd done a night the night before, whatever it was, and I caught that little one. And we're chatting away, mate. And with that, my middle rods just started smoking off, right? And mind you, this one, like I'm playing it and I could feel it was a big fish, but it was really weird because like your first big one from a new water, like you don't really know how they fight in there and all this sort of stuff. But it was deep as well. It was really, really deep, that lake, and weedy as well. So I was just like, you was like, I'm trying to keep him up in the water just in case he done me in any weed and whatnot. Anyway, we got it in, mate, and it was the Pilgrim. I haven't been out for 2 years, like the lake record mirror. All right, so we've weighed it. Like I said, it was a new lake record at the time, and yeah, I'm buzzing, mate. Like I think he was a bit blown away by it. And because I'd only had the rods out a couple of hours, but then it's just like you never really know about that deep water spot with the boilers on it if it's working or not. You know what I mean? Because I've only been baiting it for a couple of weeks, and anyway, I'm just like thinking, oh, that one happened out for nearly 2 years. He's in the bag now, and all this sort of stuff. So done the pictures and everything, mate. And like I was thinking, God, what a start sort of thing. But yeah, it's funny how it all turns out, And I can remember that evening. He had left and everything. There was another couple of anglers on, and off that old deep water spot I had going as well, mate. I had another one they called Terry in it. That was just over 30 pound, and that a big bold leathery one. And again, done pictures of that, and I think he was a bit blown away, the old owner. And the next day he's come down, mate, and he's come down and he said to, mind you, this the main spot. I hadn't had a bite off it yet, right? Like the one that I got rocking, right? I've been painting a bit. But I hadn't already put an update on it, if I'm honest, right? And it was so weird, mate, because the temperatures were dropping. It was middle of October now, and I'd had those two. I'd had that Pilgrim and that Terry, and that smaller one, and like I say, in the morning he's come down and we're chatting and stuff about the one I had in the night, and I've had a tick while he's there again, and I've had this I can't remember what it was called now, a real fat stocky, mid-20. So it was just coming together, man. Maybe faster than I realised. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's because I never really thought it was going to be like that. And mind you, like I say, I'm catching off the old open water boilie spot, the old golden spot, if you want to call it that. I've not put a rig on it yet. And anyway, I'll send you some text messages. Well, anyway, later that morning, I'm a bit of a nightmare for like eating late and whatnot. I'm a bit better now with diabetic, but anyway, it's got to like 10 o'clock or something like that, and I've got itchy feet, mate, and it was a bit of a weird old lake. Like, you didn't really see fish show. Like, it was weird, real odd. Like, there's just a deep lake, and wherever they went, I don't know. Well, obviously not far off my body spot, but and then they would just turn up like submarines. Like, you'd find them up somewhere. Well, at this old spot that I had going, mate, the lake started narrowing off towards the left, if you like, and where the stream come in, it was all reeds, and like there were some pads over the other side and whatnot, and it was just perfect, mate. Like, the rest of the lake was just pretty barren, if you like, pretty barren and deep, and the winds would affect it. But this old spot here, the sun would come out. Like I said, yeah, it was reedy, and once there was a climbing tree out there you could get up. It was not very good at them, but it do. And but any fish that come into that zone, mate, you'd see it like battleships, like, and I can remember, like, it was getting to about 10 in the morning. I got itchy feet, so I've reeled the rods in and that. And I've gone round to this other side, mate, and there's loads of fish. They're like all over me, all over the spot. But I couldn't see the common, right? And I'm waiting and waiting. I'm thinking the last thing I want to do is lower a rig in there and catch another one, right? Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't want that spot to blow, right? Do you know what I mean? And I knew it was only probably good for a couple of bites, right? Do you know what I mean? It max. And anyway, so I'm watching these fish over it, and I'll send you a WhatsApp screenshot from my mate, and he literally, I've gone back to my plot, and I'm a bit disheartened. Like, I'm thinking, what do I do? Like, do I just go home, or do I chuck back out to there? I thought I really didn't want to put a rod in, but I'd had these couple of days off ahead of me, like, and I just kept thinking, I could feel the weather was drawing in and stuff, and I was thinking, maybe I don't know, maybe the timing's wrong. I keep saying that thing, don't I? And I don't know. And anyway, my mate's texted me, and he said to me, oh, like, what have you seen, mate, and all this? And I said, mate, I've got fish all over the spot, right? But I hadn't seen that comment. And he's like, he's made a comment like saying, oh, it's probably out in the lake, mate, eating loads of other people's pre-bait or something like that. And he sent me this message. It's 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. On the dot, right? And with that, he said that, and I thought, yeah, maybe that is what he's doing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe he is out in the lake eating other people's pre-bait. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, so I've got the rods, mate. I thought I'll put them back out. So I put two of our out to the boilie spot. But anyway, I thought to myself, fuck it, I'm gonna put a rod on the spot. Like, there was too many fish over there, like, do you know what I mean? Anyway, mate, so I've gone round, mate. Got the rod perfect. It was better to cast it from just at the bank sort of thing to this spot over in the far margin. And this cast gone in perfect, mate. There's just a couple of pads around this spot as well. And I've chat tight, mate. And literally, it's like landed about a foot behind these pads, mate. And I've seen my line, like my leg core leader and my line, just fall straight between the two pads. And I thought, that couldn't have gone better. All right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the line lay was absolutely smack on, right? Anyway, so I walked it back to my rods and all that, put the buzzers down, I put on the buzzers and whatnot, mate. And I'm sat there, and like I said, I'm thinking, I need something to eat. Mind you, Steve-O's just texted me at 11 on the dot, and this is probably 10 past 11 now. And literally, I put some sausages in that in the frying pan, mate, and with that, the old golden spot, mate, the rod tips just cranked down, mate, and it is smoking. It's absolutely flying, mate, you know what I mean? And I'm just like a bit like, fucking, like, what the hell? Like, do you know what I mean? I never thought it'd happen that fast, mate. And I've gone out, picked up the rod, and in the far margin, mate, I just seen this giant goldfish just hit the surface. Like, do you know what I mean? I thought, oh shit, I know what that is. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing in there the size of it, nothing that golden, do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, oh my god! And he's charging me. It's going down the margin right to the right, and there's a scaffold pole stuck out where, like, there's a no casting thing, and this fish is just heading towards it, and I'm backwinding, and all this sort of stuff to try and slow him down. And with that, mate, I'm just like giving it as much as I can, sort of side strain, and it's hit the surface again, right behind this scaffold pole, mate, and it's thrashing around in the far margin, and I could just see this big golden, like, fucking sandbag, like, do you know what I mean? And anyway, mate, I'm just shitting myself, like, you know what I mean? I'm all right when I'm playing a fish normally, if I'm honest, but when you know what one's on the end, mate, like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? is like I've got it coming towards me, coming towards me. And one thing about this lake, mate, is in a valley. It's like is a very small lake in a valley. So like, yeah, you can see people, cows walking their dogs and whatnot. Anyway, so I'm getting this fish halfway back across the lake, and it's just out solid. And I'm thinking, oh fuck, it's like done me in the weed and that, and my heart's going, and all the rest of it. And I'm thinking, what do I do? I thought, fuck it, I'll just jump in. So I thought I have to go to him because half the time you're thinking, is he just using his weight? He's got some weed on his head or whatnot. Anyway, he starts coming towards me again slowly, and I'm slowly getting some line, but just not fast enough. So I've jumped in, and I've got my net next to me, like, and I'm taking step by step, and his legs really deep and everything. So it's right up on my chest now. And with that, mate, it's just my leg claws come out right next to me. And this common's hit the surface, and it's just fucking massive, man. It's like right next to me in the water, like, he's got the upper hand now. I'm in his world, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And mate, he's took a few boils and all the rest of it. And I've managed to get him in the net, but like trying to get the net up above the water and what, and it's splashing around and whatnot. And I've like shouted, I could probably a few swear words I've shouted. And with that, like up on this hill, like on the valley, there's this woman walking her dog. And she shouted out, "Are you all right?" I stood in the middle of the lake with this massive fish out, And I went, yeah, I'm all right. And she went, "Do you need some help?" I thought, she's really looking out in the lake, and I just stood in the middle of this lake up to my neck with this net, you know what I mean, shouting my head off. But I was like, no, I'm good. Anyway, we got it out, mate, and yeah, I made it. Literally, I can remember snapping the back of it, like, I took a picture of it in the net with the back out and sent it to my mate. And I'll send you the WhatsApp conversation. And he sent me that message saying maybe he's out in the old lake eating bait at 11 on the dot. And I think 11:40, I texted him, "Look what's in the net." Like, within 40 minutes, I put the rods out, mate, and it was all over. It was all over.
Wow.
So yeah, I'll send you that. But yeah, man, it was mental because, like I said, I was just like so like. I was a bit like, oh, and when he said maybe he's out in the lake, he never feels space, and I just thought, yeah, maybe he is. Like, I'm going to get these rods back out, mate.
Yeah.
If we never it probably would have happened. But yeah, everyone come down, mate, put him on the scales, 50 pound 12 it was. Like, first time ever 50 pound. So yeah, within a couple of nights, mate, I'd had the biggest mirror and the biggest common in there, like both at lake record weights, and yeah, and it was off the pastures new, but yeah, like, yeah, amazing, man, amazing, all the right timing.
Definitely, mate. Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure. Your stories, it's to me, I can see the passion. I'm buzzing myself. I just want to go fishing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's good. That's
what I mean. It's just absolute. So, Colin, honestly, all I can say is, like you say, epic stories, epic carp, and your journey's been insane, mate. Insane.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mad one, man, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, everyone that's listened in so far, and I hope you enjoyed this one. But everyone that sent messages and that, like I said, we spoke about my health in the last one. What we didn't really speak about in the last one was the mental damage that it does. Like, yeah, I've been broken not only physically but mentally. But so yeah, I really appreciate every message that someone sent me, time out to send and stuff like that. And yeah, the least I could do is just like relay some of these stories and put some smiles on some faces, like, And I'm glad they enjoy it. I'm glad they enjoy it, man.
Oh, mate, not only that, mate. You like I say, you put a smile on my face as well, just to hear your experiences and that, man. It's just like you say, it's just an eye opener what people go through. You know what I mean? It's mega, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you made my day listening to these stories. So,
Thanks, man.
like you say, mate, it's a pleasure. So, thanks again. All I can say is thank you for being on, and like you say, keep making them memories, mate.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Like I say, I've been motivated as ever, like, to get back out now after, like you say, it's weird, isn't it? Just tell a few stories, and like, like I say, if everyone's texting me, and it's been brilliant. Like, I'm like buzzing to get out again, absolutely buzzing, and hopefully we can get another big one for another story now.
Oh,
I'll start trying, that's for sure.
if anyone can do it, mate, I think you can, man. You know what I mean?
We'll see, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being on.
I appreciate it, mate.
Thank you so much, and stay in touch, man. Stay in touch.
I will. Take care, buddy.